Feilu Novel Network exclusive contract novel. The Mafia of the Great Voyage. The Age of Discovery. What pirate navy, isn't it fragrant to come to this world and establish the largest mafia? What kind of adventurous passion, as long as the interests are sufficient, we can also kill the Tianlong people, and we can also seize the territory of the Fourth Emperor. Having the Fenniks fruit drives the flow blade like fire, even magma can directly evaporate. The godfather of the pirate world, who established the strongest and largest mafia organization. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. The Mafia in the Pirate World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The East China Sea is known as the weakest sea among the four seas of East, West, North, South. The reason is that there are not many powerful forces or famous pirates here, so it is called the weakest sea. Even bounty hunters will not come to this sea area if they have nothing to do. After all, these bounty hunters live by offering bounties. When they come here, they can't even find a single fish or shrimp, and they have to starve to death. So for the East China Sea, even the Navy has not put in much effort here. On an island in the East China Sea. This island is out of place with the words East China Sea. As we all know, the sparsely populated East China Sea definitely has no overly prosperous islands. But here is not only bustling with people, but also filled with magnificent buildings. There is a sign at the port that clearly states, Finnic Island. In the deepest castle of this island, the reception hall is shrouded in smoke. Upon closer inspection, there were people dressed in black suits everywhere, with a rebellious expression on their faces. It was obvious that these people were not good people. There is a framed painting of the characters Ren-yi on the wall. Below Ren-yi, on the largest sofa, there is a man. This man is wearing a black suit, with pitch black leather gloves on his hands, and a black windbreaker draped over his shoulders. The brown sunglasses blocked his pupils. Black hair is combed backwards, with simple and energetic sides. He was holding a cigar in his mouth, and the rolling smoke made his appearance faintly visible. Even wearing sunglasses, one could tell that he was a young man with an extremely handsome face. The buttons on his suit were tightly fastened, revealing how strong his figure was hidden under his clothes. His mouth curled up, making him appear mischievous and unrestrained. There were 2 rows of sofas in front of him, with people sitting in each position. The smoke in the room was clearly caused by these people smoking. In addition to the people sitting, there were also dozens of men in black suits standing around. Combined with the decorations in the room, it is not difficult to see the professions of these people. Boss, Colonel Mouse has been a bit arrogant lately. He even wants to double the protection fee. What are you saying? If he doesn't pay, he will send warships to our island. What? That bastard. If it weren't for his navy skin, would you really think we gave him face? Boss. Let me go get that bastard's head back. These bastards' navy cannot be easily trusted. They don't speak a single word of righteousness. Ha ha ha. You're such a naive guy, do you actually want to talk to Admiral Ely? What are you saying? Shut up. Just as everyone was expressing their opinions, the person sitting closest to the young man suddenly shouted in anger. Are you planning to continue being impolite in front of the boss? Bastards. Upon hearing this, a group of people with grim faces suddenly became obedient like little sheep, and all sat up upright. At this moment, the young man sitting under the 2 characters of benevolence and righteousness finally made a move. He let out a soft puff of smoke and said in a slow voice, I know about Colonel Mouse. He should have found a backing on his side, and it was this backing that gave him confidence. That backer is just a group of fish people. Upon hearing the words, fish man, everyone was also taken aback. No wonder Colonel Mouse's confidence has suddenly hardened recently. You know, in the East China Sea, the Navy doesn't have any strong combat power at all. Faced with their family, it has always been a win-win cooperation. They collect protection fees for each island and then give a portion to the Navy. Colonel Mouse was previously frightened by the people they sent out, so every time he saw someone from their family, he always wore a flattering expression. Recently, my confidence has suddenly hardened. I thought it was some big shot sent by the Navy. After a long time, it was just a group of fish men pretending to be tiger-like. However, in terms of physical fitness, fish people are much stronger than ordinary humans, let alone in this place where the sea is everywhere, the power that fish people can exert is stronger. Boss, what should we do? Did we kill those mermaids? The man who had stopped the crowd before asked. The matter of the fish man is easy to solve, it's just a group of idiots, but... The young man took off his brown sunglasses and revealed a pair of deep and sharp eyes, which scanned the surrounding cadres. No one dares to stare at it for more than 2 seconds. Those fishmen should have been on that island for many years, but it's obvious that Colonel Mouse reached an agreement with them recently. Tell me, what are the people we sent around the mouse doing? This obviously made the previously aggressive cadres tremble lightly with the words of accountability. They know the methods of their own boss. Since that dark guy has not received any news, either he has been bribed by Colonel Mouse or he has neglected his duty. But regardless of the outcome, it is a betrayal of the family. Betraying the family is not a small matter. At this moment, the person sitting next to the young man stood up directly and walked to one of the cadres. Bang! A heavy punch hit the cadre fiercely, causing the sofa below to shatter and the cadre's head to break in an instant. For this scene, everyone had no reaction. The cadre with a broken head and blood flow struggled to get up and then knelt down in front of the young man at the forefront. Boss, that person is my subordinate. I am not strict in my discipline. I am willing to personally go to the naval base and give you an explanation. The young man sat on the sofa without speaking. At this moment, another cadre angrily said, "Hey, Alec, if that bastard remembers correctly, he should be your nephew, right? Betraying the family is not something that can be solved with just 1 or 2 little fingers." The cadre, known as Alec, heard this and felt a chill in his heart. He immediately slammed his head on the ground. He was already disheveled and bleeding, but even so, he dared not make any sound. Compared to the blood on the head, life is the most important thing. If there was no explanation for this matter, it would probably be the best outcome for him to be thrown into the sea and fed to sharks. Boss, You don't need to go about this matter, I'll go myself. As soon as these words were spoken, the people inside the house were all surprised. They didn't know what secrets were on that small island, and surprisingly, their own boss planned to go there in person. Only the person closest to the leader bowed respectfully and said, "Yes, boss." "Hello. Genesis, are you even like this?" The tone of the cadres was full of surprise, and they didn't expect even the usually rational second-in-command, Genesis, to agree with the leader's words. "You should know, whether it's Fishman or Colonel Mouse, for their family, it's all a small matter, but let the boss personally take action to solve it. That's like shooting a cannon at a mosquito." "What boss said is absolute," said Genesis calmly. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. The Finnic Family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the end, this matter was settled, and immediately all the cadres disbanded and went to do their own work. Finny's Island, this is a unique island, even with the Navy, it is only registered by name. Not belonging to any country, but having its own system. The Navy has considered sending troops to station here, but they have been rejected by the local people for various reasons. Moreover, despite being the most prosperous island in the East China Sea, there is no pirate ship at the port. This is all because of a Mafia family on the island. The Fenniks family. They arrived on this island 6 years ago. At that time, the island was still ordinary and often raided by pirates. Since they arrived, the island has completely calmed down without the disturbance of pirates. In addition, this is the headquarters of the Finnic family, and the island quickly prospered. Some wealthy people nearby all wanted to live on a safe island, which led them to come here. It's just paying some protection fees, and for them, they can still afford it. The Finnic family, led by Finnic F. Dior, is almost unknown to everyone in the entire East China Sea. People who come to the East China Sea, whether they are pirates or merchants, must pay a protection fee as long as they land on the island they protect. Sure, if it's your pirate, then you'll be caught and sent to the naval base to exchange for a bounty. If it's a businessman, I'm sorry, someone will come to grab your goods every few days. When will the protection fee be paid to ensure safety? The entire family now has 2,000 subordinates and more than 10 cadres. Leader Dior is also a great pirate who once killed a bounty of 20 million yuan. Even the navy would not cause trouble for this family. The study inside the castle. At this moment, Dior was sitting on a chair, accompanied by a wisp of smoke, and the whole person was also immersed in memories. He is a traveler, yes, he crossed over from the Blue Star. When he arrived here, it happened to be on an ordinary island in the East China Sea. He was abandoned by his parents at birth, and his name was given to him by the director of an orphanage. He changed his surname himself. The reason why he changed his name to Finnic is because he obtained the essential golden finger for travelers. It's not something like a system, but a fruit and a knife that suddenly appeared from the ring in his hand when he was 10 years old. The ring has been hanging around his neck since he was young. Although it is rare, the ruby ring is not particularly precious. The dean asked Dior to wear it himself. If it were a secret of his background, he would be able to find his family when he grows up. As a traveler, Dior watched a lot of anime during his time at Blue Star. By reading the newspaper, you can tell that this is the world of pirates, so when you get the fruit, without hesitation, you know that this is the devil's fruit. To become a strong person, fruits are not necessary, but they are indeed a shortcut. Even if you don't know what kind of fruit is in front of you, at least having it is better than not having it. An orphan who wants to obtain those powerful fruits in this world is like a daydream. This is not a world full of fantasy and passion like anime. He lives here, and when pirates invade the island, he is the one who witnessed firsthand how people who couldn't pay were slaughtered alive, and slightly more beautiful women are as if they have entered hell. Faced with such a real world, if he wants to survive, this fruit must be eaten. Fortunately, after eating the fruit, the information about the fruit also entered his mind. Animal type phantom animal species, bird fruit, Phoenix. It corresponds exactly to his surname. When the flames in his hand enveloped the blade in front of him, the knife awakened. The flowing blade is like fire. The soul-slaying blade of the Reaper world. He didn't know why two completely unrelated world abilities turned into his golden fingers. But it did not hinder his joy. If the fruit of the phantom beast seed may make him a strong person, then the flowing blade, like fire, will inevitably make him a top-notch strong person. But soon this joy turned into a hint of disappointment. As is well known, in the world of the Grim Reaper, the soul-slaying blade is driven by spiritual power, but in this world, physical skills are the main focus, and there is no such thing as spiritual power. How can the soul-slaying blade be liberated? At most, it's just a stronger knife. By the time a pirate invaded their island again, little Dior was already 13 years old. He held a sharp blade and rushed into the pirate group alone. In the process of fighting, his flowing blade was liberated like fire. The high temperature released in an instant directly evaporates the surrounding pirates completely. At that time, he realized that the flowing blade, like a fire in this world, did not rely on spiritual power, but on his flames. That is to say, the Phoenix fruit's ability to manipulate flames complements this knife. This kid, Dior understands what he should do in the future. Apart from exercising every day, it's just a fruit of his life's development. Phoenix fruit not only has the ability to manipulate flames, but also has the characteristic of extremely strong resilience. It is similar to Marco's abilities in the world of pirates, except that Marco's is a blue flame, while his is a crimson flame. Until the end, there was no progress in simple exercise, and at that time, he entered the sea alone. Find those pirates to practice and soon leave the name of Red Lotus Dior on the East Sea. With a name, there will naturally be followers. But he never thought about being a pirate in the past, and the phoenix fruit and flowing blade, which gave him the possibility of becoming a strong person, does not mean that he is now invincible. He doesn't have the protagonist aura and background of Luffy. That can only lead to lewd development. Fortunately, when watching anime in his past life, Dior discovered that the Navy had a very high obsession with pirates who were pursuing the great treasure. But for people in the underground world, they don't care much. Even those in the underground world can collaborate with the world government for a win-win situation. This caught Dior's eye and he subsequently created this Finnic family. Isn't it more reliable for the Mafia to collect protection fees than being a pirate? Compared to being a pirate and shooting in a different place, the Mafia's protection fees can be a long-term income. You can catch some small pirates and exchange them for some bounty, isn't that fragrant? In just a few years, the Finnic family had already controlled more than half of the East China Sea and reached cooperation agreements with several naval officers. In the East China Sea, the Finnic family is heaven. Nowadays, the Phoenix family even plans to go to the West Sea, South Sea, and North Sea to establish a huge territory. As for the Great Route, it will go one day, but not now. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Devil's Son. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Since we have decided to keep a low profile, we can only take care of the 4 C's that the Navy doesn't care about first. When the accumulated strength is enough to survive among the monsters on the sea, it is the time to officially launch the world stage. Shoo. Dior extinguished the cigar in his hand and shook his head. Why have I been feeling sentimental lately? Am I homesick? Dior chuckled self-deprecatingly. Bang bang bang. At that moment, the knocking on the door interrupted Dior's thoughts. Come in. Jia. Genesis pushed open the door and slowly walked in. He is also dressed in a black striped suit, with a different lining from Dior. It is a blue shirt and wearing golden glasses, it looks exceptionally refined. The second in command of the Finnic family. Genesis, like Dior, is also a child from an orphanage. He has been fighting with Dior until now and possesses very strong abilities. He is also a fruit of demons. Have respect for Dior. Boss, I have found out that the group of fishmen should be on Kokoja Island now, which is also Colonel Mouse's territory. Because there are no valuable specialties on that island, our family has not developed there. Surprisingly, a group of fishermen took advantage of this. At this point, Genesis pushed his glasses on the bridge of his nose, with a terrifying murderous intent in his eyes. Well. Take it easy, Genesis. He's just a group of fish people who are not just sophisticated. As for Colonel Mouse, if he still can't figure out his position after this incident, then he'll have to change to a Navy colonel. Yes, boss. Genesis bowed slightly. By the way, how did you find a domineering cultivation method before? In the East China Sea, currently our people have not found anyone with cultivation methods, Genesis reported truthfully. Really, it seems like there's time to really go on a great voyage, Dior whispered softly. Dominant. In the world of pirates, being a strong individual is an essential ability. In addition to being able to touch the fruits of nature, it also enhances combat effectiveness. This is basically a standard configuration for going to the New World. But because Finnic's business is all in the East China Sea, there is indeed no way to cultivate dominance in the short term. However, it is easy to get the Navy Type 6. Just need to pay a certain amount of benefits. Some already rotten navies can easily give out their cultivation methods. This is also one of Dior's ambitions, as he aims to turn the Phoenix family into a force of all-around strength. Only in this way can one have the ability to resist any force. Think about it, thousands of people are proficient in the Navy's Type 6, possessing dual-color dominance. Even when facing elite naval forces, they don't need to be discouraged. By the way, how about going to Coco with me this time? Dio looked at Genesis with a playful smile. Of course, I will follow boss's orders, said Genesis respectfully. Ha ha ha, don't be so nervous. This is not an order. By the way, you've been with me for a long time. It seems like you're still a beginner, right? It's time to consider it for you. Dior rested his foot on his desk and said casually. This sentence made Genesis's brow furrow. After thinking for a moment, he asked softly, Boss, is this a command? No, it's not. I don't accept that. Genesis breathed a sigh of relief and then looked at Dior with firm eyes. What a boring guy. Click. Dior picked up a lighter and lit a new cigar. Although he already had the ability to manipulate flames, using a lighter was more ceremonial than lighting a cigar with flames. After all, he's a mafia, so he needs to be more elegant. Bang bang bang. Just as Diolo was feeling bored, the door of the room rang again, and Genesis walked forward very comfortably to open it. I saw a graceful woman walking in. The woman's long black hair, including flowing sea, was combed backwards, with a tall nose bridge, crystal clear snow-like skin, and deep blue eyes. Especially the smiling cherry-colored lips exude a gentle and intellectual temperament. Wearing a black suit on the upper body and a black suit short skirt on the lower body, the two long legs are straight and firm, and the figure is even more curvaceous. Like Dior, the shirt on the upper body was also tightly stretched on the body, and the snow-white touch exposed under the collar was thought-provoking. Boss, Genesis, you all are here. As soon as you speak, you will hear the mature voice of the imperial sister, which makes people feel relaxed and at ease. Robin, why did you come? Upon seeing the newcomer, Dior still maintained his carefree and unrestrained demeanor, seemingly completely indifferent to his own image. That's right, the person coming is Nicole Robin. In the original work, a member of the Straw Hat Troupe, Dior met her in the East China Sea 5 years ago, when Nicole Robin was being chased by a group of pirates. Due to the filtering effect on the characters in the original plot, Dior intervened to save them. It's definitely not because of her beauty or the bounty from those pirates. I also reached an agreement with Nicole Robin as I wished, where she would be my little secretary and Dior would be responsible for providing protection. 5 years have passed in the blink of an eye, and according to the timeline, it should be that Luffy has just set sail, but Nicole Robin is already 2 years away in appearance and attire. The temperament of the imperial elder sister is simply irresistible to many cadres, but they know that this is not a good person. Especially, she is still the eldest woman in her family, so when she saw Robin, she lowered her head, afraid that she would look around and be slaughtered by the boss. Everyone in the family knows that their leader is a great hero. But they are also ruthless and ruthless people. In recent years, many people have died in the flames in order to compete for territory. Boss, why don't you smoke less? It's not good for your health, Nicole Robin said with a smile. Ha! Dior looked dissatisfied and said, Robin, are you my mom? Shut up, I'll smoke as much as I like. Faced with such rude words, Nicole Robin not only remained expressionless, but even took 2 steps forward and stood beside Dior, smiling at him. After a while, Dior was still defeated and extinguished his cigar, muttering incessantly. Boss, did you just hear that you're going to Coco Island with Genesis? Nicole Robin asked curiously. Ah yes, what's wrong? Are you interested too? Dior's eyes were still looking at half of the cigar in the ashtray, clearly feeling heartbroken that he hadn't finished smoking yet. Where are the oranges so sweet? Let me go too. Wait a minute, Secretary Robin. Just as Dior didn't pay much attention to his intention to agree, Genesis beside him spoke up. We're planning to take care of that group of fishermen now, but it's inevitable that we'll encounter the Navy. Your identity. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. The Truth of the Event. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Genesis didn't finish speaking. But the three people inside the house all understand what's going on. Nicole Robin, the son of the devil, is a wanted existence conquered by the world. It is rumored that 6 warships were destroyed and there was a bounty of 79 million. Upon hearing Genesis's words, although Nicole Robin's face did not show any unusual colors, the deepest part of her beautiful eyes still couldn't conceal her disappointment. I understand, Genesis, I won't go. Bang! Before Nicole Robin could finish speaking, Dior slapped the table, causing the sturdy tabletop to crack. Genesis, are you the boss or am I the boss? Can you help me make decisions now? I dare not. Genesis immediately lowered his head, indicating that he had no intention of that. And you, Nicole Robin, are you an idiot? You've been with me for 5 years, serving as my secretary for 5 years. Why are you still so inexperienced? Dior's tone carries deep dissatisfaction. I'll tell you, you can go wherever you want. When the sky falls, I'll carry you on my shoulders. What navy doesn't have navy? If you're not satisfied, let him come to us and ask for people. If you can't fight the island, don't do it, and then take people to blow up the Justice Island. I see how crazy they are. Upon hearing this, Genesis was speechless for a moment. He knew that if the Navy really provoked his own boss, he could really do something to blow up Justice Island. After all, for the Mafia, the most essential thing is weapons. From the underground world, they can get as many firearms and ammunition as they want, and even cannons and explosives are abundant in their family. The entire island of Finnies is not so much a prosperous commercial island as a stronghold of the Finnies family. The weapons stored here are quite abundant. If we really break ties with the Navy and take people directly to destroy the naval branch in the East China Sea, we can do it. Upon hearing Dior scold herself as an idiot, Nicole Robin didn't get angry either. Instead, warmth flowed in her heart. For 5 years, initially Nicole Robin only used Dior as a temporary stop. After all, at sea, it is indeed very unsafe. Navy pirates and bounty hunters all want her head. After seeing Dior's terrifying strength, he resolutely joined the Phoenix family. Nowadays, I really consider this family as my own home. I have a special emotional attachment to Dior in my heart. If in this world, Nicole Robin, who has experienced countless betrayals, could once again believe in the word companion, then it must be Dior. And although she said she was an idiot, she would rather be enemies with the world than be allowed to be free. After 5 years of interaction, Nicole Robin knew that what Dior said was serious. If we were to break ties with the Navy, the man in front of us would definitely kill the nearest judicial island to the East China Sea. Boss, thank you, so please give me more guidance. Nicole Robin lowered her head, seemingly showing respect for Dior, but in reality, she didn't want anyone to see her moist eyes. Dior waved his hand impatiently and said, "Don't say such words anymore. They don't suit you, and..." After speaking, he looked at Genesis. "You can't hold grudges, this guy. I just said what I said in a hurry, there's no other meaning." For good brothers who have grown up and are still their second in command, Dior will patiently explain. Upon hearing this, Genesis shook his head and said, "Boss, you're right. I crossed over. Alright, that's all for now. Prepare the boat and head straight to Kokosia Island. Yes. The port of Phoenix. At this point, it is already overcrowded. Their boss is going out to sea, so they have to be very serious. Bastard. You can still drop an item if you take it. Are you looking for death? Bring more manpower. If anything happens, boss, I'll throw all of you into the sea to feed the fish. Hurry up. Hurry up. Like a girl, grinding and chattering. The younger brothers are working in full swing, while the cadres are constantly urging them. Even in the end, they personally started it, and they didn't want their boss to have any further dissatisfaction. Soon, Dior arrived at the port with Nicole, Robin and Genesis. Leader. At the moment of seeing Dior, everyone around stopped their work and saluted him. Are all the boats ready? Don't worry, boss, it's already ready. A cadre came to Dior like a dog and reported on his work. Dior nodded and continued, this time I'm going out to sea, just let Genesis and Nicole Robin follow me. You cadres, go get busy with your own affairs. Yes, boss. The cadre nodded and immediately assigned about 100 people to board the ship. Cadres can only let Nicole Robin and Genesis follow, but their subordinates cannot be missing. In addition to being responsible for the daily life of Dior and others, when encountering mixed fish, we can't always let the boss personally take action. Just as Dior was planning to board the ship, the former cadre named Alec ran over with a worried expression on his face, and upon closer inspection, there seemed to be a hint of sadness. Quickly, he arrived in front of Dior, bowed in this world, and then spoke up. Boss, I have something to report. Seeing Alec arrive, the officials on the side immediately reached out and stopped him. Hey! Alec, your sins haven't been forgiven yet. What are you doing here? It's because of this. Boss. Give me a chance to explain. Seeing Alec's anxious expression on his face, Dior reached out and pushed away the cadre beside him, saying, Tell me, what's the news? It's like this, boss. I found out that my nephew didn't neglect his duty. He was killed by that bastard Colonel Mouse. What? The people around were all shocked and pale. They never thought it was for this reason. Even if Colonel Mouse demands an increase in protection fees, it doesn't matter, just give him a lesson. But how could Colonel Mouse unexpectedly discover the existence of an undercover agent and even boldly kill him? What are you saying? Dior's eyes narrowed slightly, his whole body emitting a dangerous aura. It's true. Boss, I've already sent someone to investigate. Just a few days ago, my nephew was killed by him. Alec couldn't help but shed tears. Both because of his own injustice and because of the death of his nephew. Dior remained silent, his dangerous aura growing stronger and stronger. Unconsciously, he began to emit flames. Seeing this, Nicole Robin and Genesis both took 2 steps back. New author, please support us, ask for votes, ask for flowers. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Luffy appears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The air around was getting hotter and hotter, and everyone around was sweating profusely, but no one spoke up. A gloomy expression appeared on their faces, and even the weather seemed to feel this atmosphere. The originally cloudless sky was suddenly shrouded in dark clouds. Unconsciously, a drizzle began to fall in the sky. Rainwater drips onto the ground, splashing water droplets one by one. Apart from the sound of rain, only the heavy panting of the crowd could be heard. Dior's body began to emit steam continuously, and the sunglasses on his face unconsciously slid onto the ground, revealing his deep and angry eyes. Immediately, he glanced at everyone and suddenly shouted angrily, "Let's go." Yes. All the little brothers stood straight and responded loudly. Immediately, the lock on the ship was unlocked, and Dior, along with Genesis and Nicole Robin, walked onto the ship in front of him. The flag on the ship is a black background with a phoenix emblem wrapped in flames, which is the emblem of the Phoenix family. Nicole Robin, who was walking at the back, no longer smiled on her pretty face, but was replaced by a serious one. She understands Dior's personality. If someone in the family makes a mistake, they will use their lives to repay it. However, if someone is killed by an outsider, even an ordinary member, Dior will definitely fight the other party endlessly. The murder of the undercover agent has already violated Dior's bottom line. Soon, the sailing work was ready, and after the anchor was retracted, the ship slowly departed from the port. A group of cadres with hundreds of young brothers stood at the port, bowing to the ship. Even though the rain grew heavier, no one held an umbrella and waited quietly for the boat to disappear from their sight. Cachexia Village. This is an island in the East China Sea, which is rich in oranges. The oranges grown here are big and sweet, so they are also well known on nearby islands. However, the number of people visiting the island has been decreasing recently, and there are rumors that a powerful group of pirates have taken over the island. In this era of great navigation, pirates are a dream-like profession for some young girls who carry passion and adventure. But for the people living at the bottom, they are just a group of demons. In addition, the inaction of the Shanghai military headquarters towards the Four Seas. No one wants to go to an island occupied by pirates. Going to the island requires paying protection fees, and even a person who accidentally dies will have to take it inside. So the people of Cachexia Village can only take the initiative to go outside the island to buy and sell specialty products. But today, there is no one in the village of Nuoda, just like an uninhabited village. If it weren't for the chimneys of some houses emitting wisps of cooking smoke, I would have thought it was a deserted village. Because a big event happened in Cachexia Village today, the whole village went to the sea area that was once considered taboo by the villagers. Orong Sea Area. The reason why it is called the Orong Sea is entirely because the pirates who are stationed here were once subordinates of Wang Xia's 7 martial seas and a member of the Fish-Man tribe. The Fish-Man race is naturally different from humans. In addition to having stronger combat capabilities in the sea, their physical fitness on land is also much higher than that of ordinary humans. It was precisely because of such innate talent that Long came to the East China Sea and turned several surrounding islands into his own territory, collecting protection fees every day, just like a local emperor. But Long never expected that one day someone would come knocking directly at his door. You should know that he had reached an agreement with the hegemon of the sea and the navy. In theory, there was nothing to fear in the East China Sea except for the navy. Surprisingly, there were only a few teenagers who, in order to avenge the thief Nami, directly knocked on the door. Boom! The gate was directly smashed. Which guy is Long? A young man with black hair in front of him lowered his head and asked in a deep voice. Long is my name, said Long, casually as he sat comfortably in the lounge chair, gazing at the scenery. I'm Luffy. Luffy. What are you doing? Pirates. As he spoke, Luffy gradually approached Long's side. Hey! Stop, you bastard! Where do you want to go? 2 fishmen stood in front of Luffy and said, You need to explain it to us first, little brother. Yeah, if you don't make it clear to us, you. Luffy reached out his hands and grabbed the shoulders of the 2 fishmen, then slammed them fiercely towards the middle. Dodge. Bang. With a muffled sound, the 2 fishermen lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Upon seeing this scene, Long's eyes were bloodshot, but he didn't immediately react. Instead, he coldly asked, What's the matter with the pirate looking for me? Luffy didn't answer Long, instead he clenched his other wrist with one hand and immediately punched out. Bang! Long's face was hit hard, and he flew backwards. After rolling a few times, he smashed into the nearby wall. The fish people around and the villagers all watched this scene with shock. How dare you take action against Brother Ah Long? The fish people regained their senses and rushed towards the road in one go. Just then, a black shadow flashed by. Bang bang bang, the rushing fish man flew backwards again. Get away from all the miscellaneous fish. A blond man holding a cigarette stood next to Luffy, who was one of the 3 main members of the Straw Hat Troop, Sanji. Really, I know one person can grab the limelight. Even if I were alone, I wouldn't lose. Who's worried about you? I don't think so. No problem, even if you want to go alone. Usopp walked over trembling. You really have the courage. Green Algae Head Sauron also stood up. 4 people were chatting and laughing here, completely unaware that Ah Long's face was getting darker and darker. The villagers outside originally wanted to rush in to help, but were stopped by 2 people who claimed to be Sauron's younger brother and a bounty hunter. I had already rushed in at the first moment before, and the outcome was predictable. Now, my body is covered in scars. That's why they will never let these villagers rush in. Surprisingly knocked that Ah Long away. It's unbelievable. This is not something that ordinary people can do. At this moment, 2 bounty hunters spoke up and said, do you still want to break in after seeing this? Even if you go in, it will only disrupt this battle. It will only hinder Big Brother and them. But why are they fighting? What are the reasons for fighting? The reason for the battle. So. In the field of Eren, when the war is about to break out. In the center of Cachexia village, an orange-haired girl knelt on the ground, constantly covering her face and crying, with a straw hat on her head. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Illusory Fruit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after, he wiped away the tears on his face and stood up. I've cried enough and said enough discouraging words. I've also made up my mind. She immediately picked up the wooden stick on the side and planned to go to the realm of Ah Long. Just then, she seemed to notice something unusual, turned her head, and froze in place. I don't know when, a group of people in black suits have already stood behind her. As a person who often makes a living on the sea, Nami still has a certain eye for sight. She instantly saw the badge under the other person's collar. That's the emblem of the Finnies family. The biggest black and evil force in the East China Sea, even the Navy, depends on their looks. Many islands are their territory, but because the village of Cachexia is relatively far from their headquarters, otherwise, they probably wouldn't be able to escape such fate. 4. Why? Nami's eyes became moist again, and she knew that several of her companions were helping her fight against Ah Long. But I didn't expect another one to be even more ruthless. In the East China Sea, you may not know where the naval branch is, but you must know the Phoenix family. This is basically common knowledge in the East China Sea. Nami sat weakly on the ground again. She has a strong eye for people and can easily spot the leading man at a glance. The powerful aura on his body, as well as his deep eyes and sharp facial features, are so young and handsome, just in line with the legend of the leader of the Phoenix family. How could such a powerful mafia leader come to their village? What should we do? What should we do? Nami's brain went crazy, but she couldn't think of any good attention. Like the dragon pirates, is it just a matter of compromise? No way. It definitely won't work. Ah Long is interested in her ability to speak and chart. Ultimately, Ah Long is still a pirate. But the Phoenix family is different. As a mafia, they only need profits to find the big secret. Just as Nami was still thinking. A curvy and curvaceous imperial sister came to her, blocking the dazzling sunlight and even extending a hand. Hello, are you from Cachexia village? Nami didn't speak, she was stunned and didn't know how to answer. Faced with her reaction, Robin didn't mind and still maintained a posture of reaching out. After a while, Nami regained her senses and quickly stood up from the ground, patting the dust off her body. You should have noticed it, right? We are from the Fenniks family, and this time we came to Kokoja village to inquire about something. What's going on? Nami was a bit panicked, not knowing what the other person was talking about. Robin smiled slightly and said, "May I ask if there should be a group of fishermen on the island?" "Where are they?" "Fishman." "Sure enough, they came for the dragon pirates. If there is anything worth thinking about on this island for the Phoenix family, it must be the Eren pirates, but Nami doesn't know if the other party is here to eliminate Eren or to help. You should know that the evil party is the evil party, just like Colonel Mouse, who collaborated with Long to deceive her and even took all the money she had saved for so many years. If the Phoenix family was also working with the Eren pirates, wouldn't her companions be even more dangerous? Thinking of this, Nami made a forced smile and said, "Ah. Is the Eren pirates really? They've all gone out, they're not here today." "Little sister, lying is not a good habit," Robin said in a gentle tone. I'm not lying." Even though Nami was constantly flustered in her heart, she still spoke hard. She would never tell them the location of the dragon pirates until she understood the purpose of these people. Robin smiled and looked at Nami without saying anything. Just then, a tall and burly little brother walked up and said with a grim smile, "Robin, big sister. Let me personally teach this lying girl a lesson." Surprisingly, before he could speak, the young man saw Robin turn his head and look at him with an indifferent gaze. Little brother instinctively took a step back. As the elderly members of the Phoenix family, they are very familiar with Nicole Robin, who is clearly white and black. If it gets tough, the means are even better than the boss. Sorry, Robin, it was me who crossed over." The younger brother quickly lowered his head and apologized. "Hey. Little ghost. What are you worried about?" Dior, who knew everything, walked forward, his tall and sturdy body completely blocking the sunlight in front of Nami. As a traveler, he certainly knew everything that Nami had experienced, and also guessed why Nami was lying. Isn't it because they're worried they might take action against the members of the Straw Hat Pirates? That group of passionate guys, Dior has no interest in taking action against them. Just thinking about it, it's clear that the Straw Hat Pirates, a pure adventure group, have nothing to do with their interests. Killing them doesn't bring any benefits, and they are more likely to face the pursuit of a group of pirate world masters. Not everyone can survive after causing unlimited trouble like Luffy. Their background is extraordinary, not only having a grandfather who is a naval hero, but also having a father who is the leader of the Revolutionary Army. My brother is a cadre of the Fourth Emperor pirates, and the guides are all the most domineering men. This complex background directly encompasses most of the top forces on the sea. How could Dior, who wants to develop a low-key influence, choose to take action against them at this time? Upon hearing Dior's words, Nami's vigilance in her beautiful eyes did not diminish at all. "Well, this boss, I really don't understand what you're talking about. The Dragon Pirates team has already evacuated." Genesis also walked over, making a strange gesture with one hand. Just as he was about to move, he was interrupted by Dior. "Alright, Genesis, just explain the situation clearly. Don't always use your strange fruit abilities." Upon hearing this, Genesis was speechless for a moment. He didn't feel anything strange about his fruiting ability. Fantasy fruit, causing people to have illusions. If the fruit of illusion is directly disturbed by this fruit in battle, without any accidents, it will die the next second. Genesis precisely wanted to use this ability to make Nami speak the truth. However, this fruit has a drawback, which is that if the enemy's spirit is not firm enough, an accidental one will become an idiot. Anyway, Dior still has some interest in these original characters. Otherwise, Nicole Robin wouldn't have been his little secretary either. Don't worry, little ghost. We're here to settle accounts with the dragon pirates. As for your companions, they should have been in a tough battle by now. Tell me where they are. I'm going to the dragon pirates to solve it. At this point, Dior's face carried a hint of a ferocious smile. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. All staff arrives. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Nami saw the expression on Dior's face and was taken aback. She instinctively took 2 steps back, her feet softened, and she almost fell. Fortunately, Nicole Robin, who was nearby, had quick eyes and hands, so she helped Nami directly. Robin's mouth curved upwards and he said, "Boss, you scared them." Ha! Dior's face was full of disbelief. Is my face that scary? It's clear that this little devil didn't stand firm on his own, okay? If you're scared, it should also be scared by Genesis. On the side, Genesis remained silent. He was used to lying down and getting shot, and there was no need to reason with his own leader because he was completely unreasonable. If you become angry from embarrassment, rest assured that what awaits you is definitely a pair of iron fists. Are you really here to settle accounts with the dragon pirates? Nami noticed what Dio had just said, and her intimidating expression didn't seem to be fake. Nonsense. Dior said angrily. He is still feeling frustrated because Robin just said his appearance scared Nami. God knows how much effort he put into shaping his current body and maintaining that handsome face. Can a little girl still be scared when she sees that she's not infatuated? Robin saw Dior muttering and covered her mouth, chuckling lightly. She was the person who knew Dior the best, and of course she knew his personality. Don't worry about him, he will get better later on. Then he looked at Nami and said softly, "That's right, we're here to settle accounts with the dragon pirates. They killed our companions, so just leave this matter to me." Looking at the gentle older sister in front of her, Nami instinctively believed her words and immediately told them the location of the dragon pirates. Even volunteered to lead the way. Robin, who saw through Nami's little thoughts, did not speak, but directly agreed to the proposal. Soon, hundreds of Mafia in suits set out towards the realm of Ah Long. On the way, Nami probably had to tell Robin about what had happened over the years. For some reason, facing such a gentle person, Nami felt a hint of warmth. There is also an inexplicable sense of trust. Upon hearing about Nami's experience, Robin had a strong sense of empathy. It should be noted that since she was wanted from a young age, she has never suffered less darkness than Nami. So on the way, he kept comforting Nami and telling her that the members of the dragon pirates would definitely solve the problem. Dior, who was walking behind, turned his head and spoke to Genesis. "Hey, Genesis, do you think I'm handsome?" Faced with the leader who asked this question seriously, Genesis had nothing to say and could only pretend not to have heard it. But he didn't speak, and Dior started talking to himself. "I'm the proudest with this handsome face. How could I scare people? What a joke." His subordinates behind him were all holding back their smiles. When it comes to Dior's face, it is indeed handsome, but his explosive figure and the murderous look in his eyes not only make the baby stop crying, but also make people stand still trembling. Simply put, he's too fierce. How could it not scare others? Seemingly sensing the laughter of his subordinates, Dior turned his head and shouted angrily, "Hey! Bastards! Are you itching?" A group of subordinates quickly covered their mouths, otherwise that punch would have cost them half their lives. Quickly, everyone saw a tall building, and at this moment, the outside was filled with villagers, all discussing fiercely about something. You can also hear the occasional sound of fighting coming from inside. Everyone. Seeing the villagers, Nami excitedly welcomed them. "Nami. You're here, you. Nami's loyal sister, Noki Gao, was about to talk to Nami when she saw rows of black-clad people behind her, their eyes wide open. The Finni's family. The villagers also heard Nami's voice, and then they all froze in place. But they all heard Nokigo's words. Why did the Finni's family and the Mafia come to such a remote island like them? Noki Gao, everyone. Nami's beautiful eyes were full of complex expressions. However, seeing that the villagers had already started to fear, he quickly forced a smile and said, "Don't worry, everyone. The Finni's family are here to settle accounts with the errant pirates. Don't worry about anything." Upon hearing this, the villagers finally calmed down, but still looked at Dior and others with a surprised expression. "Nami, is it really okay?" Noki looked at her sister anxiously. She knew Nami the best, so she could certainly see the fake smile on her face. However, like Nami, Noki didn't want the villagers to be too worried or afraid. You should know that Nami's companions are currently in a fierce battle. The villagers are already tense, and if there is another stronger enemy, they will really collapse. Is this the Aran Sea? It's amazing how high the building is, arrogant guy. Dior pursed his lips, his castle didn't even rise so high. As a result, a miscellaneous fish dared to be so reckless and become a local emperor here. Robin covered her mouth again and chuckled lightly. She felt that the childish appearance of her own leader was sometimes very cute. At this moment, the little brothers around gathered and said, "Boss, what should we do? That group of fish people seems to be fighting a few teenagers." "Ah, I know," everyone rushes in. "Remember, none of these fish people stay." At this point, Dior's eyes were full of killing intent. He is not a saint, on the contrary, he is the biggest villain in the East China Sea. He doesn't care what kind of outrage Ah Long has done, but if he kills someone from his family, he will use his life to repay it. Upon hearing Dior's command, a group of young men lifted their clothes and revealed the guns hidden under them. For hot weapons, Dior likes them very much. After all, as a mafia, if they don't have some hot weapons, they will fall off the grid. So all members of the family are equipped with one long and one short gun, and some even have machine guns similar to modern Gatling, which are rare and expensive, so only a portion of the elite troops are equipped. After all the staff took out their guns, they rushed straight into Aaron's field. At the same time, in the field of Arong, Aaron is battling Luffy, while Xiao Bai is battling Sauron. Sanji and a fish man skilled in karate are inseparable. Just as everyone was fighting fiercely, they all heard the sound of dense footsteps. They all stopped for a moment and looked at the door. What? Aaron's pupils tightened, and he saw the sign under the collar of the visitor's clothes, which was the Finnic family. When working with Colonel Mouse before, he also stated that he would find time to destroy the family, so that they could cooperate and gain more benefits. Ah Long agreed in one fell swoop. Although he knew the reputation of the Finnic family in the East China Sea, after thinking about it, he was just a group of humans, let alone the weakest among the four seas, the East China Sea. Even the Mafia can be so strong. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Who is the biggest evil party in the East China Sea? You are listening at novelfull.audio. But judging from the current posture and the fierce faces around him, it seems that he has mentioned iron plates. Especially the young man walking towards him, just from his physique, one can see how strong he is, let alone his imposing demeanor. At this moment, Luffy tilted his head and looked at Dior with a stunned expression. Who is it? Neither Sauron nor Sanji spoke, but from their serious expressions, it was evident that they had recognized the background of the person in front of them. Fish Man Ah Long stood up from the ground and patted the dust off his body. Even though he knows that coming from afar is not easy, he will definitely not give up directly. In his bones, he looks down on ordinary humans and believes that fish are the world's #1 race. What day is it today, whether it's a pirate or a mafia, they all come knocking on their doors. A group of people looking for death. Dior ignored the barking of the other dog, and Genesis and Nicole Robin walked behind him. The three of them walked straight to Aaron's face. As soon as he saw Robin's beautiful face, Sanji's eyes instantly turned into hearts. What a mature big sister. Alongside, Sauron sneered and said, "Fool. Ah. Who are you talking about? Green algae head. Speaking of you, lecherous chef. Do you want to seek death?" The two of them began to fight and frolic as if there was no one around, and Dior ignored the farce. After all, the members of the Straw Hat Pirates were all crazy people, and anyone who had read the original would know about it. "Hey, you bastard, is Ah Long, right? Is it me, a member of the Finnics family? Judging from your appearance, you should be their leader, right?" Ah Long asked in response. "It seems that you haven't found the wrong person." Dior did not answer Aaron's words and turned his head to look at Genesis behind him. The latter immediately took out a photo from his arms, which showed a sunny and cheerful young man. Genesis stepped forward and presented the photo in front of Aaron. What does this mean?" Ah Long looked at the photo in front of him with a puzzled gaze. The person on it looked familiar to him, but he couldn't remember who it was for a moment. The rest of the fishman cadres felt something was wrong and gathered around Ah Long. At this moment, Xiaoba patted his forehead and loudly said, "Ah, it's him, that Navy. He was killed by Ah Long a while ago." Before Xiaoba finished speaking, he felt countless murderous energies tightly locking onto him. For a moment, several octopus feet covered their mouths. "Did I say the wrong thing?" "No, you didn't say anything wrong," Dior shook his head and spoke with a furious smile. "Since we found someone, it's easy to say. This is a member of our family." "Ha ha ha, so it's your people." Ah Long burst out laughing arrogantly. "After discovering my collaboration with Colonel Mouse, this guy started secretly tinkering with something. In order to avoid trouble, I killed him directly. Now it seems that he should be sending messages to you. Sure enough, this guy is an undercover agent. It seems that I didn't kill him wrong." Aaron's arrogant appearance made Dior and his team all silent. Nicole Robin looked at Aaron with a hint of mockery, as if looking at a dead person. "Oh, Mafia, are you here to avenge your companions?" Originally thinking he had guessed the other party's purpose correctly, Ah Long shook his head when he saw Dior. "Revenge? Don't be joking. Unlike you idiotic pirates, since you have joined the Mafia, you need to have the consciousness of sacrificing your head. As you said, at the last moment, he also needs to pass on intelligence. He died fulfilling his own will. Speaking of revenge would be too insulting to him." "Ha! What do you mean by coming over?" Ah Long looked at Dior contemptuously. "The Mafia is different from the pirates. In this vast sea, there is not much well-known Mafia organization. In everyone's perception, the Mafia is just a guy who occupies a territory on an island and collects resident protection fees." As Ah Long, who once operated under the command of Wang Xia's 7 martial seas, he believes he has witnessed countless grand scenes. He now feels that Dior's purpose is simply to seek some benefits. After all, the other party said it wasn't for revenge. Upon hearing Ah Long's inquiry, Dior's face showed a violent smile. "Of course we're here to crush your group of ingredients." "What?" The words, ingredients, have made Ah Long's veins burst on his forehead. As a proud fish man, he looks down on humans the most. The person he looks down on the most is actually called ingredients. Dior didn't care how angry Ah Long was and continued on his own. "Unlike you who claim to be pirates, we are pure villains. I don't care what you do in the East China Sea. Before coming over, I had already heard that you are also known as the evil party. It really makes me want to laugh. A group of ingredients, building a living fish tank, can be called the evil party. Now let me show you who is the biggest villain in the East China Sea. Click. As Dior finished speaking, the little brothers around him all loaded their guns and aimed them at a group of mermaids. Ah, boss Ah Long. A few mermaids trembled and spoke, calling out the name of Ah Long. You know, they don't have many thermal weapons, even if they have strong physical strength. Can you still block bullets? At first glance, it can be seen that there are at least hundreds of people around, each with hot weapons and even machine guns in their hands. At this level, even the naval branch in the East China Sea is nothing more than that. And it completely surrounded them. Even the edge of the swimming pool leading to the sea was filled with people, which clearly meant to eliminate them all. Seeing this scene, even Ah Long fell into silence. He was arrogant, but not a fool. The current situation, if one is not careful, it will really be completely extinguished. At this moment, Luffy, who had been silent for a long time, finally spoke, and as soon as he spoke, he was amazed. Hey! Who are you, this guy? Luffy. Seeing her own captain talking to Dior in such a way, Nami's figure in the distance was almost as shaved as the Shanghai Army's Type 6. In an instant, she appeared next to Luffy and punched him. Dang! Luffy's head suddenly had a big bump on it. Nami! What are you doing hitting me for? Idiot! I'm going to ask you what you're going to do now. He's the leader of the Finnies family. How dare you? He. Upon seeing this scene, Robin covered her mouth and chuckled lightly as she was born. She had a slight fondness for the young girls in front of her for some unknown reason. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Flash sale. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ah. Luffy once again showed a puzzled expression as he looked at Dior. It was obvious that he had no idea what the Finnies family was. Idiots. They're the Mafia. They're bad people. When talking about the word bad person, Nami deliberately lowered her voice. Ah. It's a bad person. Luffy suddenly realized that he was breaking free from Nami's hands and came to Dior's side. You're a bad person, he said. Oh. Dior looked at Luffy with great interest. Aren't you a pirate? Are you a good person? It seems right, I'm a pirate. Luffy lowered his head and pondered for a moment, then raised his smiling face and said, forget it. It seems like I'm not a good person, but... At this point, Luffy's voice became serious. I heard what you said, it seems like you're going to intervene in this battle, right? That's right. Dior nodded. Since the battle has already begun, this is our own battle. I won't allow anyone to intervene until the winner is determined. Your battle. Dior glanced at Sauron, who was covered in blood, and Sanji, whose face was bruised, and said, Kid, I think you're about to lose. Why don't you give these people to us? We can also help you, can't we? The villagers also arrived at Luffy's side at the first moment, watching Dior with caution and panic. Luffy and the others are Nami's friends, who are their guests. Faced with the notorious Mafia and the Finnics family, they are also very nervous. Since I have already spared no effort, there is no need to worry. The big deal is just one life. However, upon hearing Dior's words, they still looked at Luffy with hopeful eyes. Fighting between evil parties is a good thing no matter how you think it is. And what surprised them the most was that as the leader of the Mafia, he was so easy to talk about, even though he looked fierce. But something that surprised them occurred. Luffy lowered his head and pondered for a moment, then suddenly lifted his head and said, No way. This is my own battle. Luffy. Nami was going crazy, holding on to Luffy tightly with one hand, eager to knock him down. Sauron and Sanji also walked over at this moment and stood beside Luffy. Pirate Hunter Sauron, do you really want to use this body to fight against us? Dior smiled as he looked at Sauron and Sanji, who were hostile in front of him. The captain's orders are the top priority. If he decides to fight you, then I will execute the orders. Sauron's eyes were filled with determination. Upon hearing this, Dior reached out to block the approaching Genses. As a staunch supporter of Dior, if someone were to speak like this, he would never stand still. It was precisely because he knew his companion that Dior reached out and stopped them. Green Algae Head Sauron, when he was on Blue Star, Dior admired this character very much. As Hawkeye said, it would be a pity to let Sauron die here. Now it's not his stage yet. You are definitely crazy. Nami wanted to cry without tears, but her body honestly stood by Luffy's side. The villagers also clenched their weapons one by one. Seeing this scene, Long was very happy. In the battle with Lu Fei just now, he already knew how difficult this little devil was. If he were to confront the Mafia now, wouldn't he be able to take advantage of it? After both sides were defeated, he killed them all in one breath. Taking a glance at the few people standing in front of him, Dior's eyes showed a hint of appreciation. Do you have a good group of companions? But you're too arrogant, little devil. Dior's mouth curved upwards, revealing a mouthful of pure white teeth. Hey, Genesis, teach these little ghosts a lesson. Yes, boss. Genesis nodded and then stood in front of Luffy and others. Lu Feisua and Long Shanji all tightened their muscles. No matter how foolish they were, they knew that the person in front of them was definitely not easy to provoke. I saw Genesis take off his golden glasses and then put his hands in a strange posture. Bang bang bang. Luffy punched Sanji in the face, Sanji kicked Solan's wound, and Solan stabbed Luffy in the lower abdomen. In just an instant, the three of them fell to the ground. Luffy, Sauron, Sanji. Nami quickly squatted down to examine her companion's injuries. What have you done to him on Earth? Faced with Nami's inquiry, Genesis put on his glasses again and pushed them with his finger before speaking calmly, it's just making them feel like enemies. It's just a small lesson. If it weren't for the boss's command, I would have killed them directly. Upon seeing these actions of Genesis, Dior muttered in frustration, you're such a pervert. You even learned to wear golden glasses like someone else. Robin looked at his own leader with a smile on his face. Seeing Lu Fei and others fall to the ground, Nami and the villagers dare not move at all. In the battle just now, they knew how strong these three teenagers were. Such strong people all fell to the ground in an instant, and they were still fighting each other eerily. If they go up, a few lives won't be enough. Moreover, dying in the hands of one's own people is simply the most suffocating way of death. Ah Long and the others also widened their eyes, completely unaware of what had happened. Is it the ability of the devil fruit? Damn it! The surrounding temperature gradually rose, and after seeing the injuries of Luffy and his companions, Nami looked up. The scene before her was unforgettable for a lifetime. At this moment, Dior unconsciously emitted flames, making him feel like a deity in the sunlight. Little ones. Leave no one behind. Oh. With Dior's command, hundreds of young men fired their guns simultaneously. Bang 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 dada dada. Countless bullets rained down on the group of fishermen, and in just an instant, dozens of them were sieved. Before dying, everyone looked at Ah Long with incredulous eyes. As for several cadres, they have long used their flexible bodies to hide behind the cover. Ah Long looked at the fallen fish figures one by one, and blood was about to overflow from his eyes. Surprisingly, I dare. My fellow countrymen. The villagers also crouched on the ground with their heads clasped in fear. I don't know how long it took, but the gunfire dissipated and the smell of gunpowder and grilled fish permeated the surroundings. Ah Long and two officials also walked out of the cover, and at this time, the Long Sea area was like a Shura field, with debris and broken arms everywhere, and the corpses of their compatriots were all flesh and blood. Some even turned into a pile of meat paste. This is the horror of thermal weapons. Even if one's physical abilities are not strong, with a little training, holding a gun can become a god of killing. The Mafia won't tell you anything about fairness. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Do you like to eat grilled fish? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Same. Fellow countrymen. Along's face was filled with a painful expression, and there was nothing more heartbreaking than the death of so many compatriots in front of him. These people all came to the East China Sea with him from the Fisherman Island, which can be said to be loyal. They thought they could dominate this weak sea area, but ended up facing such a disaster. All dead. All dead. Xiao Ba ran to his fellow countrymen and wept bitterly. Upon seeing this scene, Nami did not feel the pleasure of seeking revenge. Instead, she felt a bit confused, especially when she heard Xiao Ba's mournful cries, which made her feel a bit uncomfortable. The food in her stomach was constantly churning, and the sight of the Shura field around her made her unable to bear it. After a while, finally, some villagers couldn't help but walk to the side and start vomiting. Immediately after, there was a chain reaction, and most people began to vomit. The air is filled with an unpleasant odor. Only these members of the Mafia, dead people, are a common occurrence for them. Now that their subordinates have so many islands, it's not just a matter of words. It was really a physical attack, including those pirates who entered the East China Sea. As long as you landed on the island they protected, you had to pay protection fees and not cause any trouble. It is obvious that for pirates, sometimes they cannot understand normal speech and can only regret not paying the rightful protection fee before closing their eyes. Robin, do you like grilled fish? Dior turned his head and looked serious. I used to like eating, but in the future, I may not necessarily like it anymore. Robin shook his head, his every frown and smile full of elegance. Really? I don't have the habit of raising fish. Let's just kill these 3 guys. If I take action, they might still turn into grilled fish, said Dior casually. Damn it. You go to hell. Iron teeth skill. Long fell into a frenzy and kicked his feet on the ground, rushing towards him with 2 rows of teeth in his hands. Click. 2 rows of teeth bit directly onto Dior's shoulder, and Aaron's face wore a grim smile as he wanted to make the humans in front of him pay the price. Hey! You bastard, even if you bite and scratch me, you still have to wait for me to take off my clothes. This suit is very expensive. Dior let out a roar, and his muscles bulged up, accompanied by a cracking sound. The 2 teeth that bit him on the shoulder were shattered. Long looked at this scene incredulously. His teeth were incredibly hard, even able to bite through hard rocks. But even with such hard teeth, they were shattered by the opponent's muscles. Isn't the human in front of us really a humanoid ferocious beast? It seems that compared to dead fish, you really like grilled fish. Dior's gaze froze, and then he struck with his right fist, his thick arm still burning with flames. Boom! The huge fist directly hit the belly of the fish man Along, and at the moment of contact, an explosion sound was emitted, splashing black smoke. Along also flew out in response to the sound. The aroma of grilled fish once again spreads into the air. Along's body collided directly into the towering building, shattering countless pillars. The towering building began to tremble and soon began to collapse. The villagers quickly rushed out with Lu Fei and the other 3 in their arms. And the members of the Phoenix family stood still. When the building collapsed towards them, Dior raised his fist again, as his muscles tightened and several buttons on his shirt flew off his chest. Who? A large amount of flames ignited from Dior's body. At the moment of the right punch, a wave of fire surged out, and the falling building was directly shattered, with fragments falling. Even if it hit the young brothers, they stood still without any intention of avoiding it. The collapse of the building also declared the end of Ah Long's rule. The villagers looked at the ruins with a feeling of clearing away the clouds, but then, upon seeing the hundreds of black figures, their mood sank once again into a low mood. Mafia. How could the public not understand the meaning represented by these three words? Although they are not pirates, for the people, they are all evil parties and there is no difference, let alone the Phoenix family, which is the largest evil party organization in the East China Sea. No one knows how they will treat this island when Ah Long is defeated. At this moment, on the distant sea, a warship was slowly approaching. The navy who came to Cachexia village, needless to say, must be Colonel Mouse. This sea area is under his management. Quickly, the warship docked and the navy on the shore also ran down. One of the men with a hood and a mustache walked over, and he was Colonel Mouse. As the name suggests, he looked like a mouse. Seeing the ruins in front of him, he was momentarily taken aback, and then saw the hundreds of black-clothed men, his legs and stomachs trembling instantly. Colonel Mouse, it's been a long time since we last met. Genesi, wearing golden glasses, slowly walked towards Colonel Mouse and greeted him calmly. Genesis. Colonel Mouse's forehead kept dripping with cold sweat. The purpose of reaching an agreement with Ah Long is to enable Ah Long to balance this group of mafia. After all, the territory in the East China Sea is so large, but the mafia doesn't pay him a lot of protection fees every month. In this situation, what can he do? For greater benefit, of course, we need to take a gamble. But I didn't expect Ah Long to be so vulnerable. Colonel Mouse has already been crazily whipping the corpse of Ah Long in his heart. Colonel Mouse, the boss is here this time. Ah. Upon hearing these words, Colonel Mouse began to tremble. He usually collaborated with the Finnic family, and the most visible one was Genesis. He had never seen Dior himself. But in the East China Sea, Dior's story is spreading everywhere. Not only is it powerful, but it is also ruthless and ruthless. When dealing with enemies, killing them for you is light. He has all come, which means this matter must have been exposed. What should we do? What should we do? Just as Colonel Mouse was frantically pondering over there, he noticed a handsome and strong black figure constantly approaching. How could one not guess the identity of the person in front of them while watching Genesis bend down and step back? Dior. No, Dior boss, why did you come? Colonel Mouse immediately stepped forward and spoke trembling, saying that he was really scared. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind about how he would beg for mercy if the other party were to fight him, but he didn't expect that Dior's first sentence would directly burn his CPU. Do you like to eat grilled fish? Ah. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.